thank you. Berserk is a story that is very dear to my heart. It's a story that's changed my life in every way imaginable. It's changed the way I look at myself, others, and the world around me. And I know some of you are wondering why I'm even making this video in the first place when there's already so many great Berserk videos. And that's because if even one person who's going through a rough time sees this video and considers reading Berserk, I will die a happy man. Okay, speedrun of my backstory so you can enter my mental state prior to reading Berserk. My parents got divorced at a young age. I dealt with some not so nice issues at home regarding one of my parents. I struggled with depression, anger management, abuse, and a few other traumatic events that I won't bore you the details with. So yeah, I was a confused, lost, angry, and emotionally stunted 17-year-old that had no clue how to fix himself. Yeah. And then I saw a cool video online about a big angry boy with a sword and decided to read my first manga. And little did I know this would change my life forever. And this brings us to Black Swordsman. And while Black Swordsman is the worst arc in Berserk, this panel right here where Guts hesitates to kill this girl was the moment that I was hooked on Berserk, and the moment I knew it was going to be more than just a big tough guy fighting demons. But at the same time, I was still a musclehead and still bought into Guts' facade. But this all changes with Golden Age. This is the renowned favorite arc in Berserk, and while it's not my personal favorite, I do understand why it is. We'll get to my favorite later in the video. See, what makes Golden Age so genius is by starting off with the literal birth of Guts. Because by starting at this birth, you get intrinsically tied to this character. You see every aspect of his life unfold, and I know this is just very cliche and almost cringe, but like seriously in a lot of ways, I found myself relating to Guts. And many of his feelings and responses to trauma, I felt a kin familiar to the point where it was terrifying. Just a few examples of how I related were Guts' rocky relationship with his father and the way he reacts to certain trauma. Just to speed run through it, I also love all of the interactions with the Band of the Hawk. I think it's masterfully done. I think Guts' entire story alongside Griffith and Casca is just absolutely beautiful and deserves all the praise. The moment where Griffith tells Charlotte that he does not view Guts as a true friend is one of the best moments in manga, and I can just rave about it all day. The action and just everything about Golden Age is perfection, and it deserves all the hype it gets. And my favorite part of Golden Age is Campfire of Dreams. This was the first chapter in Berserk that really affected my life long term. See, one major issue I was dealing with at this time was the idea of goals, aspirations, and my place in this world. I had a lot of nihilistic thoughts. And during Bonfire of Dreams, Guts goes through and talks about things that everyone watching this video has thought about many times over. Who am I? And he doesn't have an answer, which is why this scene is so perfect. See, no one ever has an answer. No one has this perfect life lined up for them, where everything goes as planned, and no one really knows who they are. And seeing Guts, this guy who is larger than life, the man who can cut down monsters, the 100-man slayer, say the same words and think the same thoughts as some random kid from New York City, gave me comfort that I had never felt before in my entire life. Because Bonfire of Dreams, underneath it all, represents that all dreams are made equal. That not having a grand dream, such as having your own kingdom, is okay. That just simply wanting to have a shop, or impress a woman, or get stronger with the sword is okay and beautiful. And this moment made me question myself in a way that I had never done before. I asked myself, is just wanting to spend time with my family and make YouTube videos for people to see okay? Am I actually worth something, even though I don't want to become a doctor, politician, or astronaut? And the answer is yes. See, Bonfire of Dreams told me that being me was okay, and that was more than enough to live a happy and full life. Bonfire of Dreams told me that my life mattered, regardless of where I was at the time, regardless of where I will be. It told me that I was important. And this just opened my mind up to so many new possibilities and so many new ideas. And that's why I'm probably making this video here for you guys today. Alrighty, this seems like a perfect schnoz moment to take a breather before I get into the next major chapter that affected my life long term. Wounds 1 and 2. I'm going to come out and say it. These chapters are the best examples of true love and mental health in fiction. This journey that Guts and Casca go on together is one that changed the way I viewed love and trauma forever. This is the only chapter, or chapters in Berserk, that I can't properly put my words to feelings, but my god, these chapters are beautiful. You see, this scene between Casca and Guts was the first time in my life I had seen any kind of, special time that wasn't horrifically mind-numbing videos on Google Chrome. So seeing this made me realize the way you're supposed to treat a woman. The care, the confusion, the way you're supposed to be gentle. That everything about this scene was just so different, so beautiful, and so real. Which brings me to the peak of these chapters. See, one thing I need to note about myself is during my childhood that I mentioned previously, I was never shown how to properly love. And I had some serious suppressed trauma that I buried so far deep inside of me that I almost forgot about it entirely. Until this scene. From this moment on, I was in a state of pure confusion and anger that I had not felt in years, due to this scene triggering a lot of very specific issues that I never worked through. And just as Guts broke down, just as he opened up to Casca, just as he finally let everything out, I realized that it was my turn to do the same. See, me and my girlfriend of 2.5 years started dating seriously around the time that I was reading Berserk. And she came to my house within 20 minutes of me finishing Wounds 2. And with me in a state of fear and confusion that I had not felt in years, and with all these raw emotions just hanging off my sleeves, I decided that it was my turn to empty out my soul the way I saw Guts honestly and maturely do it for himself. And so I did. With Wounds 2 fresh in my mind, I finally told someone my trauma. I emptied out my soul. And just like Guts, I found my medicine. And I found my sword. But after all of that, there was still one more major lesson that Berserk had to teach me. One that I think about every single day till this day. And this comes from Cracks in the Blade. Out of all of these amazing chapters, Cracks in the Blade is my personal favorite, and it's because every single trope, every single toxic male ideology, every power fantasy, and basically every thought I had of Guts gets turned on its head and flipped over. And in turn, all of my thoughts on myself became flipped on their head. And this is because Cracks in the Blade challenges Guts' very character, and in turn, challenges my own. See, after the eclipse, Guts goes on an absolute tear, and it feels justified. He feels manly. He feels cool. He feels like he's doing the right thing. Right? I mean, he's our hero. He's our protagonist. He's the man who can slay monsters. The 100-man slayer, the man who defies God. He's the struggler. He's brave. He's strong. And most importantly, he's a man of courage. Right? No, he's not. See, Godo challenges Guts' entire ideology by basically saying that the warpath was cowardly. Going around and nearly getting himself killed while trying to get revenge was easy. It was the easy choice. It wasn't the choice a man would make. See, a real man, a man with courage, would have stayed. He would have stayed with Casca, and he would have tried his very best to heal. A real man would have tried to heal and move on. A real man would have cared for her at her lowest. A real man would sacrifice his desire for her, his thirst for her. A real man would struggle for her. And this, my friends, was the single most eye-opening event in my entire life. See, up until this point, I used all of my hate as fuel to do what I found was easiest. Instead of dealing with issues, I would either bury them or try and run through them. Instead of sticking by people when they were at their lowest, I would leave because I convinced myself that was best for them. Instead of understanding people, I would just shut them out. And most importantly, instead of letting myself feel, letting myself cry, and letting myself out of this box that we all put ourselves in, I made the easy choice and stuck with what worked for me. Anger. However, this moment when Guts is laying by Godo's bed was the moment I understood I was wrong. that the way I was living my life wasn't proper. It's not what I wanted. And that I wasn't who I wanted to be. And with my confusion at an all-time high, and my fear of the future just all around me, Berserk gave me a light in the very, very dark cave. With Guts' declaration in the final panel that he would never lose Casca again, I also made a declaration that I would never live my life the way I had been ever again, and that I would change and become better. And that, my friends, was the moment that Berserk saved my life. To wrap this video up, if you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Berserk means the world to me. It saved me. It gave me relationships I would have never had. It opened my eyes up to things that I would have never had. This video is being created, the confidence that I have to be this vulnerable, all comes from this story made before my time. I want anyone seeing this to know, you are not alone. Your feelings are real, they are valid, and people all over the world, regardless of gender, what they look like, anything, are all going through the same things you are. If you finish this video and you have not read Berserk, I would highly recommend it. I promise you, if you digest the material the way I have, it will change you. And I want you to know that whoever sees this video, you are not just a viewer to me. You are now part of my community, and I want to be friends. All of my mutuals, all the people that have pushed me to make this video are people that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And I want you to know my DMs are always open. If you are ever going through something and you feel alone, just understand you are not, and understand your life is worth something. And if you ever need anything, I don't even need to know you. You could message me for the first time. I'm here for you. Thank you for watching my first YouTube video. I'm going to try and make these more often. I'm going to switch up the content all the time. I want to cover a lot of series. And if you've made it this far, have a beautiful day.